We had a deal, you fucking animal! Oh, dude, did you fuck this bread? You fucked the shit out of this bread. You don't fuck bread, God.
I had me a vision. There wasn't any television. From looking into the light.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Shaun.
Hey, Sarah.
And welcome to my Future Has Been Facefucked, episode 5. Episode 5, I believe.
Yeah, Cinco.
Not Cinco, yeah. Yeah, so we're recording this on July 11th. The opening night for Pacific Rim.
Woohoo!
And Grown Ups 2.
Oh.
Yeah, Grown Ups 2 and Pacific Rim come out tonight. And we actually got to see an earlier screening. We didn't have to go to a midnight or anything like that.
Yeah,
They
7 o'clock.
Like reasonable human beings, this theater decided to... That's one of the benefits of, like, I guess, living in a smaller town sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that they'll be like, we don't want to do a fucking midnight show.
We all want to go home normally, too.
Yeah, so we'll just do 7 and 10 o'clock showing. So we saw the 7 o'clock 3D showing, actually.
Yeah, we thought it would be packed, but it wasn't. But
Not super packed, and that kind of bummed me out a little bit, but maybe the 2D showing was fuller. I don't know, the parking lot was full.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's a lot of grown-ups, too.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Which is
and
weird.
probably Despicable Me, too.
Yeah, because there were some kids.
There was some kids floating around the theater, which is kind of a shame because Pacific Rim would be a good movie to take your kids to, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. So, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. We're going to do what we usually do, and we'll talk about some of the things we've been viewing and watching and streaming and whatnot over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, we've been slacking.
Yeah, we've been slacking. Really haven't done one in a little while.
Sorry.
Sorry for all three of you. So anyway, Sarah, what have you been watching?
Well, I've been watching the standards, you know, Deadliest Catch, Cheers.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of episodes.
Well, yeah, we're finally on the last season of Deadliest Catch. Took us this long to get to season 8.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah, it's pretty... Actually, season 8, like, because there's, like, a definite, like, shift in, like, how they're making the show.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, they've never had, like, the first episode of the season starts with they're at home, like, saying goodbye to their families.
They're,
like,
crying grandkids.
They're crying grandkids, and they're, like, looking longfully out of the window, and, like...
Yeah,
like, it's kind of like, alright. So we full on, like, kind of had a break with, like... reality, quote unquote, to a certain degree.
Yeah, but
trying to play up the drama a little bit more.
I still enjoy it.
I do enjoy it. It's actually probably more entertaining because the drama is played up more, even though I know in the back of my mind that this is somewhat created in the editing room.
Right, but I like this season because it's also showing some regulations on fishing that they have to kind of encounter.
That's true. It's the first time they've had like a lot of
like cutbacks on their quotas and stuff. So I find that kind of stuff interesting, where that kind of changes the pace of the show too. Where
it does.
Like,
it makes them more desperate.
Yeah,
and they're forced to go fish for more difficult type of crab than they wouldn't do. They wouldn't do that normally.
Yeah, and get kind of screwed.
Yeah, and get screwed over.
What else were we watching? The Mind of a Chef.
David Chang's The Mind of a Chef. It was a PBS program. I believe that's new to Netflix.
Yeah, it is new on Netflix.
It's like produced and narrated by Anthony Bourdain. And even if you don't like Anthony Bourdain, he doesn't have a very large presence in the show. He
shows up like once or twice to do like interviews.
And yeah, they're like very brief.
Yeah. Because it's all, like, segments and stuff, but it's, like, he has, like, a theme to each episode. It's, like, a cooking show, but it's, like, his style of cooking and his approach to it. Like, he's kind of uprising on the scene.
It's, like, a history lesson of his life and, like, where kind of all of his techniques and where his frame of mind comes from and all the people that influenced him.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Impact on him.
There's only one season up, but we watched it in like a night almost.
Yeah, 16 episodes, like 23 minutes an episode.
It was really like
it's very interesting, actually, more interesting than I expected.
And he's pretty like down to earth and funny, so yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know, it's just a really it's like an easygoing show. It's good like background noise, but it's good to watch too.
Yeah, it's actually interesting, and it was kind of a random. I put that on pretty randomly.
Yeah, we were watching like movies and stuff, and then
I put on like whatever was recent. I just looked at the recently added stuff, and I was like, oh, that might be interesting because I think we were gonna take a nap or something, just like background or like just noise for the room or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, put it on and end up not taking a nap and watching it. So
yeah, for hours.
Yeah, for hours upon hours. Eats a lot of ramen.
Which is I'm fine with.
Yeah, which I love ramen. And
I ate ramen. We ate ramen.
We were eating ramen coincidentally that day.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking wild shit.
It's like Netflix knows what we're eating.
Oh my god, it's like they're watching it already. We haven't even gotten the new systems yet.
Ah. No. So I mean, yeah, that was good. And then today I watched. It was what is it? Stephen Fry's
Gadgets.
It was like top 100 gadgets, which was, that was also just a random Netflix find, and I really enjoyed that too. It was like it was British based, so it was all British comedians and hosts and like news people. It was kind of like a countdown kind of like style, but it was pretty interesting to learn some things about the different gadgets that Fry put on there, and like some interesting things I didn't understand from the culture that they had over there, like inventions, like what they were called and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I caught a little bit of it. I was writing while you were watching it, so I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, it seemed interesting. I kind of wanted to go back and check it out myself, so probably will.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Eventually.
And it's cool because it's like he actually picked the top 100. It wasn't like a mandated list or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. What have you been peeping that you want to talk about?
What did I watch? Last night I watched, we watched Monkey Bone.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Selick. Henry Selick is like, he was he's done some comic books. I couldn't remember the name of it. I still can't remember the name of it.
I didn't know.
But also, most famously, he directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Which you could tell by watching
Nightmare
Monkey
Before
Bone.
Christmas, Monkey Bone. He did Coraline
Yep.
not that long ago. And he also did James and the Giant Peach. Which is probably the best one.
James and the Giant Peach, I love that. I actually, when I was babysitting not too long ago, I introduced like a new generation of kids to James and the Giant Peach, and they were like entranced by
I remember when I was a kid, like, I liked James and the Giant Peach a lot. I don't remember it being a big thing, though. I don't remember a lot, because I think a lot of people, because he has like a very kind of a darker sensibility, so I don't think parents, like, seeing a trailer for that or something immediately, like, think to take their kids to it or something, or, I don't know. Maybe it's a Walt Disney production and everything. I mean,
I don't know.
I think that's the first time I saw it.
Though, and
it was a Roald Dahl book, yeah.
So, I don't know. I was just inclined to show it to those kids, and they were like,
well, did you see it when you were a kid, though?
Yeah, I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where did you see it on the Disney Channel, or did you guys like rent it or something?
We rented it.
I think I saw it on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, I watched Disney Channel a lot, but I think it was one of the ones that like Greg and I, my uncle and I rented.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time. I haven't watched it in a long time, but Monkey Bone is a fucking mess. It's like a movie that's really short, and it feels like it probably had like 40 minutes of shit cut out so the movie makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like there's no motivations for any of these characters or why they want to do anything. Like the entire conceit of that they trap this comic or this cartoonist in their Como Land nightmare world or whatever is so Monkey Bone can like get in his body and like increase the nightmares, but it seems like, but I don't understand what the nightmares do as a function in their world.
It's entertainment.
It's just entertainment. That's it. Like,
yeah. There's
no, so I don't know. Like it was fucking. That's just, and it's already that's dumb. And I could like forgive that if the movie was actually like funny or clever. And
the last little bit surprising with Chris Kattan for me was kind of funny, and I usually don't like Chris Kattan.
And Chris Kattan's usually pretty terrible.
Yeah. But that's when I was kind of like, oh, like this is kind of.
Actually, the best part of the movie is when the dog has a nightmare, and there's these. It's like a bunch of like cats, and it's very clearly
human,
just.
cat.
Yeah, it's very clearly just like cats in front of a green screen, like put on like human bodies, carrying giant scissors, about to snip the dog balls.
Yeah, that was kind of.
That's pretty funny. I gotta admit.
Odenkirk was pretty funny in it too.
Odenkirk, yeah, because he's doing those little gags. Just he's like a
greedy doctor,
greedy organ doctor.
Yeah,
trying to collect the organs from Chris Kattan's corpse.
Because he was like a marathon runner. He's like, "This will pay for my new blah blah blah."
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It was yeah.
That last little bit.
I mean, when I say pretty funny, like that's an overstatement.
It's being very generous.
Like because you watch this movie and you're kind of just perplexed the entire time more than like engaged. You're just like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, kinda.
It's just so terrible. Like, how the hell did this movie get like? But how did it get through like the process that a movie needs to go through to get greenlit?
And how did it get 3 stars on Netflix?
No, it doesn't have 3 stars.
Yes, it did.
I don't know about that, Sarah.
It did.
I don't remember. That's not a 3-star. That's like a half a star, a 1.5 stars.
I just give it 1.
Because like there's some interesting like art direction stuff in the movie, but like other than that, like that's just terrible.
It's
terrible. On par. It's worse than Cool World. And if you know what Cool World is, like kind of like the edgier adult like Roger Rabbit from the starring Brad
But
Pitt and
Roger
Gabriel
Rabbit's
Byrne.
even like.
Well, I mean, but that I think Roger Rabbit actually balances itself very well. Because it's kind of a movie, an adult movie, more than it is for kids. Because kids don't understand the fucking plot to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I didn't realize what that movie was about till I was like 18.
Yeah.
I rewatched it. I was like, oh, this is actually like a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like cartoons like running around being silly.
Yeah, but like I don't know.
No pain.
I love Roger Rabbit, but it's Cool World was like kind of like the darker edge Roger Rabbit, and it's fucking terrible. And that movie's also a mess. And that movie is better than Monkey Bone, and that should be an indicator. That's pretty bad.
Wow.
That's pretty terrible.
Thanks for your 2 cents on that.
No problem.
On Monkey Bone.
On Monkey Bone. Also, I watched another movie. It's kind of like a found footage movie. It's called The Bay. It actually takes place in Claridge, Maryland.
I know. I was falling asleep.
Some of the characters are from Towson.
Yeah, I was falling asleep, which is where I'm from. For everyone.
Yeah,
for all two
from
of
that
you
general
listening.
area.
Yeah, and it was just funny because I was always falling asleep. You were watching this, and I kept hearing like Maryland and like silly like kind of Maryland like references and stuff, and I was like, "What?"
Well, it's directed by Barry Levinson.
Which is
he's from Maryland.
Yeah,
and so he set this. And
he's a big Maryland icon, actually.
Yeah, I imagine so. Why not? I mean, they gotta hold on to what they got.
Yeah,
because they're like, fuck, we have John Waters, and that's cool. But that's like that cachet doesn't take you very far. You get somebody
Levinson also. What did he do? Did
Barry Levinson?
He did Diner.
Wag the Dog, Diner. Fuck! I just looked it up last night.
Liberty Heights.
No, he didn't do Liberty Heights.
No.
He's done a lot. He's a pretty accomplished director.
Yeah, but Diner was a really good.
He's made some real turds too, though. I mean, but like.
But that's anyone.
But anyways, this is Barry Levinson directed. Anyways, so it's like an eco, like, kind of outbreak thriller. Think of Contagion on like the movie Contagion on a very smaller scale. And it's actually pretty interesting. It actually works really well as a thriller, and the found footage stuff, because it's not found footage in the way that like a lot of found footage movies are like told from one perspective, and then you have like just somebody following somebody with a camera the whole time.
Yeah.
Like it's basically a collection of people because it was taking place during their 4th of July celebration.
Yeah, I picked up on that one.
So it's like security cam footage, news footage, like CDC, like Skype conversations, and like and then like cameras that were found by people that were just like kind of at the celebration recording their families hanging out and stuff like that. And it was pretty interesting, and it's pretty kind of actually even effectively kind of creepy and scary, and because it's kind of plausible to a degree. To a degree, more plausible than a lot of movies like that are.
So you think I should look into it?
I think you should check out The Bay. I think you'd probably just get a kick out of it because it's filmed like in places you're familiar with. But yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by The Bay. I did not. I mean, I am very forgiving of the found footage genre.
Yeah, you are.
But that movie was all right. It was pretty good. Like I would say, I would be comfortable like recommending that to anybody.
And speaking of 2 recommendations, just really quickly, Shaun recommended 2 movies that I hadn't seen before. Insidious being one.
Insidious, yeah. Well, let's talk about Insidious for a little bit.
Very good. Oh, and the thing.
Oh. One at a time, my sweet.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, Sarah hadn't seen either of these 2 movies. One of them is a fucking classic, and she should just be ashamed that she'd never seen. The other one, Insidious, came out a couple years ago. Kind of the haunted house poltergeist like esque movie.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah.
It actually held my attention the entire time, and I don't know. Some of it was kind of cheesy.
I think that movie goes off the rails in like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But like the first like hour is so good.
Yeah.
Like it's effective. It's like fucking. You should see that shit coming. Like some of the scares, but they still kind of work.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
Like just kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
Like some of the way even the faces or the way I never felt like they were cheap scares. Like I think they earned like.
Yeah, but just, like, if you, like, think about it, like, some of the way some of the things looked, it was kind of like, oh, that was kind of cheesy, but it got me. Like, and it was effective. No, it was very effective. We watched it in a dark room, too.
Yeah, we, went for full suspension there, like, full immersion.
Yeah, full immersion.
Turned off the lights, like, got a blanket, watched it. It was, I don't know, I think that movie's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good, and I'm actually now excited for the second one, which when I saw the trailer, I was even like, oh, that looks interesting.
That's how you found out about it in general, right?
Yeah, because I went with some friends. Yeah, I went with some friends to see, I think it was The Purge.
Yeah.
And before The Purge, was the trailer. My one friend got really excited, and she was telling me how much she liked Insidious, and how excited she was for the second one, how I had to go with her. So I kind of wanted to see it, but then you, like, highly recommended it, so it was really good.
Yeah.
And the second one was just creepy because of Tiptoe Through the Tulips, which Tiny Tim's just fucking creepy.
He's just creepy in general.
Yeah.
I guess, so, and then the other movie that Sarah had never seen is John Carpenter's The Thing. Which I was really, I was kind of, like, taken aback that I'm, like, I was engaged to somebody that's never seen that movie. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying the adults in your life really let you down when you were a kid.
No,
anyways,
yeah, but watching it...
So watching it now, like, as an older...
It held my attention the whole time, which is a big thing for me.
Yeah. Well, because for me, that's something I can't separate from nostalgia, too. Like, that it's my all-time favorite movie.
Right.
But I know that it's not the best movie ever made. That's not what I'm saying.
No, like there
but
was
for me,
definitely...
like, it's just I have very fond memories of being a kid watching that, and like, I do think it's really well made. No,
it was very good, and like it was a very. I liked kind of like how we were talking with your brother about how there's like, you know, some reveals. It's like a slow burn.
It's a slow burn, yeah.
And there's like mystery to it.
You get to know the characters. You kind of, and that movie is really good to get like. You get a sense of who everybody is within like 30 seconds of meeting them.
Right.
There's they get like this little moment that will tell you exactly who they are,
what they're about.
Yeah, and part of that's
good.
casting.
It's a very good it's well casted, but it's also very good character development, and
it
like
is, yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so do I.
Well,
obviously,
I'm glad I enjoy it.
So like I don't know, like Kurt Russell and John Carpenter together just make
Kurt Russell
make an awesome team. Yeah, I gotta get you to watch a couple more of those.
Yeah, I will.
Like Big Trouble in Little China, which you've never seen.
No.
Yeah, that movie's fucking awesome. It's like
I've been told it's
action
awesome.
Fantasy comedy.
Which is everything
made by
I like.
John Carpenter in the 80s with fucking Kurt Russell as like a cowardly trucker. Like it's fucking amazing. That's just a fantastic movie. That and Escape from New York. Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
That movie's cheesier, but like it's still awesome.
No, I like cheesy sometimes.
It's got that perfect 80s like cheese where it's like acceptable.
Yeah. That's
it's like acceptable and you're like, this is awesome. Like, just because everything's practically done and like it's fucking ridiculous and I don't know. They used to go for broke.
Right.
And nowadays it's like, I don't know.
It's gone. The magic's gone.
It is. The magic's kind of gone as far as that era. Which actually, that's a pretty good segue into
a very magical experience of Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim, because it kind of falls in suit that where it's like cheesy, but in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
In a way that's very entertaining, and it knows that it's like it's not too self-serious. It knows that it's kind of like a live-action cartoon.
Yep.
And everything's an archetype. Everything's a cliche.
Everything Transformers should have been.
Yeah. Well, when I walked out of the movie theater, I told you that like it reminded me of when I was a kid when I watched Independence Day. And I don't think I haven't seen Independence Day since I was like 15. So
yeah, me either.
I don't know if that movie's any good, but when I was like 11 and I saw Independence Day, I thought it was pretty awesome.
No,
like,
me too. I remember. I think we saw it in theaters, and I was like,
yeah, me too. I saw the drive-ins. Yeah. Yeah, like so, and that's the
Will Smith is gonna save us.
Save us all. About to whoop E.T.'s ass, if you will. No, but like, and I got the same kind of vibe from Pacific Rim, and I think like 12-year-old kids are going to love this movie.
Or even like my stepbrother, who is a freshman in high school. Yeah, I think he'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, no, he'd probably really dig it. Yeah, this would be right up his alley.
He's camping this weekend.
Because it's very like, there's so many like corollaries with like a lot of anime and stuff like that, and this is even some of the concepts are directly lifted from like animes, like giant robot animes.
Mech, if you will.
Or mechs, if you will. Although they're not mechs. I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
No, because mechs are like smaller, more compact, like mech warrior type things. They're not giant, fucking the size of skyscrapers that need to be piloted by two people.
Well, just because of the power of them. We don't need to get into this right now. But
whatever. I think they're called Jaegers.
They're mechs.
Anyways, but like what overall what are something you really enjoyed about the movie?
I think that it wasn't sloppy, and I enjoyed that.
very tightly paced.
It was very tightly paced, but also, I even mean, like, the action scenes.
Awesome. First, like...
Even just the human action scenes, but then mixed in with all the CGI, that could be a mess, as we can take from Transformers.
Yeah.
Which was sloppy every time he tried it. It wasn't messy. Like, it was, you could tell what was going on, and it kept your attention.
Because I think, like, it was not... It lets you see the action. So there's, like, a lot of, like, panning, like, slow pan-outs and stuff like that, rather than quick cuts.
Yep.
Where, like, you just get confused about, like, what the fuck is going on?
What Transformer is this?
Yeah, so that, like, that's... And I think, like, the spectacle of it was, like... was actually awesome. Like, I actually was like, it does kind of like, I kind of got a little giddy at like certain points, like as like a kid would. Like, it kind of like made me feel, like, got in touch with my inner child for a second.
You know, because even usually, like, if I find something kind of annoying, I'll look at you and laugh. But I would look at you and laugh just because I was like, yeah, I was enjoying it. It wasn't like, you're like, oh my god, this is so stupid, when's it done? Like, I didn't think that at any point during this movie, which going into this movie, I thought I was.
Well, because it's... Every character is, like I said before, like, is an archetype. This movie is built on cliches. Like, it is cliche ridden. But, like, I don't mean that as, like, a negative, though. Like, I mean that as, like, it's just, it is that way, but it knows it is doing that, and it just does it very well.
Yeah, it's aware, but doesn't drive it into the ground.
And it also doesn't, it's not campy. Like, so it's not winking at you either. Like, hey, look, we're fucking being stupid and cheesy. Like, no, it's, like, very sincere about... Like, I think...
Like yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I think, like, there is some muddling of, like, I think they could have done a better job of, like, this idea that humanity as a whole has to come together. Because even though it's, like, really big, and you get the sense of, like, this really large world that has to deal with this stuff, and this real sense of history.
Right.
But, like, the movie still felt very small. Actually, in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because it's kind of very contained.
Yeah, and I liked that. I could appreciate that.
So could I, because it could have easily gotten away with itself, you know what I mean?
It could have gone, like, yeah, like, it focused on a few characters that were very strong. It didn't, like, take you too far into other places you shouldn't have gone, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it could have been very sloppy.
Well, I think it also...
There were a lot of segues for that, and it didn't.
And it leaves an opportunity for, if this movie were to be successful, to, like, expand the world. Because you could just go to a different part of the world or something when they're dealing with kaijus and, like, all these monsters and stuff like that.
Kaiju!
But it's even, like, in moments it's, like, even emotionally effective. Like, I think, well, like, one scene in particular. But anyways. But yeah, I don't know, what's a negative thing you feel about, like, you felt, like, walking out of it?
Negative? I was kind of bored at certain parts, but not, like, bored to the point where I was like, this is terrible or disengaged, but there were parts that it was just kind of like...
It dragged in the middle.
Yeah, the middle, it was just kind of like... And I understand what they were doing, but at the same time, it was just kind of like...
Well, because
it got, like, what the main goal was got lost from me for a little bit, because they were off doing other things, you know?
Well, they had to simultaneously, like... It's a simple, straightforward story. But it has a lot of components that have to be put into place before the end, right?
Right.
So, like, they're trying to, like...
Do one thing.
Trying to let you in on the human element of, like, what the human characters are kind of going through. And, like, giving you the empathetic character. And Mako is, like, the empathetic character that she's kind of our avatar to, like, understand the world a little bit more. And, like, it's her first time piloting one of these things and all that stuff. And we go on her, like, emotional arc. She's the only one that has a real emotional arc. Because I think the main character, like, they imply that there's one there.
But they don't really take you through. They kind of abruptly cut that in the...
It cuts it, and then it brings it back at the end, like, he's had some sort of catharsis when you're like, wow, it wasn't really earned.
Yeah.
And, like...
yeah, kind of.
So, like, it's not a perfect movie or anything like that. Like,
no,
if I were to give it, like, a letter grade or something, I would give it, like, a solid B+, maybe.
Yeah.
Just because of the sheer, like, the success of the spectacle. Like, the action work. So, it's, like, the perfect summer blockbuster movie. Like, where in, like, if you put this up against, like, a Transformers movie. Because those movies...
were terrible.
They're not, it's like apples and oranges, but, like, it's the most immediate comparison I can think of just summer blockbusters that do, like, spectacle this big, right?
That have human element and a, like, larger...
But those movies get away with themselves. Like, they're just fucking, like, 3 hours long, and They're stupid, and they're filled with, like, you spend an hour of every movie just with comedic relief, like...
And sometimes semi-racist comedic relief.
Yeah, and then just being racist in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's worth going to see. And actually, I think this movie would benefit from going to see it in the theater. What did you think of the 3D, actually?
I liked it. It wasn't like cool. It wasn't extreme where it was like you had like robot arms flying at you.
No, depth of field, like atmosphere.
Yeah, it added to the atmosphere. It added to the grand sense of how big this project was and how big these things were.
Well, because that's another thing the movie does very well. You always are aware of how big, like the Jaegers are and how big the kaiju. Like they're fucking huge. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to hear a funny thing about the 3D though? I took my glasses off to wipe my actual glasses off at one point to clean them. I could see it. Like it wasn't blurry. You know how like if you take your 3D glasses off? Yeah, because I'm blind as a bat. So it was like it kind of balanced it. And I was like, yeah.
Well, because I mean most 3D movies like there'll always be like moments and stuff where you can take off your glasses and the 3D effect just isn't there. Like a lot of because this was a post-conversion. It wasn't made to be in 3D. And actually, Guillermo del Toro originally had talked about not wanting this to be in 3D at all. He's like, I didn't shoot it for 3D. He's like, that's a gimmick and I don't want to do it. I guess the studio like did a test on one of the fight scenes in 3D and convinced him. And now he feels like that's his preferred way to watch it.
Huh.
Because of the depth. Because most of them don't look that good. Yeah, so because I mean, I watched like some of the Marvel, like I watched Thor in 3D. I think I watched Captain America in 3D. I've seen some other post conversions, right?
Yeah,
and they're terrible. Like Thor. I don't know. It was like I fucking wasted money. Like there was almost nothing. Even atmospherically, it wasn't even in 3D except for the fucking credits.
Yeah,
the credits were like 3D. Everything else was like. Just barely could tell that it was there, but not really.
No, I saw it in 3D as well.
Yeah, total waste of money.
No, I agree. And it's like $10.
Captain America was a little bit better.
Captain America I only saw after it came out on the DVD because I don't really like Captain America, so I was like, I don't really want to see the movie.
Yeah, it's only an okay movie. That's why. I saw the Avengers in 3D. That was also kind of weak.
Yeah, I saw Avengers in 3D as well.
Because it was weak. It was just like the post conversion sucked, but they obviously spent a lot of time, and they did a really good job with Pacific Rim. So, like, I think it's worth. Normally, I don't go see movies in 3D unless they're shot in 3D, but I thought it was worth it. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah. It was worth it. The $40 million it is to go see. I know
they're so expensive. I really wish, like, if we had the to go see an IMAX 3D, it would probably been pretty cool. Like, if
I don't really. There's not IMAX 3D in our town though, so.
No, we'd have to go out of town to do that.
Which is not. Yeah.
So we didn't feel like doing that. But anyways, I think like if you have the opportunity to see an IMAX 3D and you don't mind spending the extra money, if you don't mind spending $25 for a fucking movie ticket, like it'd probably be worth it, I guess.
I can't believe it's that much still.
I know, it's so disgusting. It's just like that's like highway robbery.
I just remember the first time we figured out how much it actually was to see the IMAX 3D. It was like one of our first dates.
Frankenweenie.
Yeah, we saw Frankenweenie and Shaun paid like
it's $22.50 a ticket.
Wow,
ridiculous,
you must really liked me.
I guess so.
No, but tonight was pretty expensive too, but I think this movie's worth it. So, you got the extra bucks. I agree with you. Yeah. Go see it.
I would agree.
You want to talk about it more in depth now?
Yeah. So basically, at this point, those are our general, well, more than general thoughts, but that's our spoiler-free version section of it. Section. And now we're just gonna kind of just talk about it openly for as long as we feel like it, and we'll see
until one of us falls asleep.
Until one of us just doesn't want to talk anymore.
Probably me.
Probably be Sarah. But yeah, so this is the spoiler section. So if you have not seen the movie yet,
or you don't want to know about it,
or you don't want to know, if you don't care, keep listening. If you do care, stop listening. I guess would be the.
If you stop listening, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening. First of all, yeah. So, what do you want to bring up in the spoiler space?
I don't know. I kind of. Do you want to talk about how, like, we started to say how it had to be divergent and where it kind of strayed in that middle part? Maybe why?
Yeah.
With
Okay.
why the story had to split up, and it kind of made it so you could still pay it. At least how I felt. Like, you still could pay attention because it wasn't so bad.
No, I don't think it was like anything gets lost.
Right.
Like, because basically what happens is then you have like 3 different like parties doing different things. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So you have the 2 Jaeger pilots, Mako and Charlie Hunnam. I don't remember his character's name.
It was
Jack
like,
or something. Raleigh. Okay, Raleigh and Mako. Then you had Charlie Day's character, the scientist,
being not annoying,
mutant. Which I was happy that it seemed.
I don't find him annoying. You do.
I find him annoying in other movies. Other than I'm a very big It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan.
We both are.
And I didn't mind him in Horrible Bosses either.
Horrible Bosses wasn't too bad.
No, like, he's fine in that. Like, I guess it depends on, like, how you cast him. Because he's not a great actor.
He's very good at being flabbergasted.
He's good at being Charlie, that character from It's Always Sunny.
Like panicking.
Anytime I've seen him in anything else, like, when he tries to do something different, like, be, like, the cool friend or something, it's like, no.
You should be huffing paint.
Yeah, huff paint and sing me songs and talk about eating cat food.
Yeah, but, no, so we had his part, and then we had the pilots, and then the other part.
And the other part was kind of Marshall's storyline a little bit.
Yeah, which is like the head, he's like the commander of all of this.
And it was like Marshall and then that other scientist. There's a lot of stuff going on in the middle of the movie that like needs to happen to set up like the end for emotional purposes and just plot purposes.
Right, so it's necessary, and it wasn't completely disengaging, but it was the first time in that movie where I was like, it
stopped being streamlined.
It stopped being streamlined, but I also felt like this could get really messy. I did have that thought, like, this is where it's going to get messy. Because there are, like, other Jaegers, so there's other teams of pilots.
From all around the world.
From all around the world. Russia, China, Australia, it seemed like, and then the U.S., Alaska. Of all places.
That's another thing. There's a second
Why
movie.
couldn't the Russian bot just handle that?
I've seen this summer that has Alaskan fishermen in it.
Yep. Superman
starts on a crab fishing boat. This is on some type of P. Diddy style shrimping vessel.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
That would be awesome.
No, but like at the beginning of this movie they save some Alaskan fishermen.
Yeah, and so
that's kind of just a sidebar.
Yeah, but no, it was so, I mean, because I also felt that's where it could have gone out of hand, too. I had that thought in my head. I was like, crap, now we're going to learn about all these different Jaeger pilots and, like, why they're doing it.
I was impressed that they didn't do that.
No, that's what I mean. And then they didn't do it. They just kind of, like, you knew them enough to where when, like, things happened to them, like, you were kind of like, oh, that sucks. But, like, you were just like...
Yeah, you knew who they were. They showed up enough in the background and looking at stuff. Like,
where you could tell their character a little bit. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So it was good, like, background acting. But, like, it still, like, compelled you, but it was more towards the cause of the Jaegers and, like, fighting these things as opposed to, like, you had to have an emotional character attachment to them.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where, that was the first moment where I was like, shit, like, this is going to get sloppy because we're going to know all these pilots and all these characters and this whole program that they're doing.
Yeah.
But it didn't. And then that was when, then the middle part where I kind of, like, didn't lose attention, but I was just, like, kind of dragged for me was, like, I was like, crap, they're going to further develop everyone to the point where I'm going to be, like... you know, like, kind of overwhelmed with, like...
The movie's just going to forget about the plot. Like, the actual plot.
And it could have very easily happened, and it didn't.
No, it didn't.
Because it interjected each piece enough to where you weren't focusing too long on one aspect of the story.
Yeah. Well, actually, like, and another thing, and I guess this would go as a negative for the movie, is it does not earn very many of its emotional moments. Like, at all.
Right.
Like, the deaths at the end of the movie, like, when Marshall dies, you find out he has, like, radiation poisoning and he's dying. They waited until about 5 minutes before it was an issue.
Right,
tell
right.
You that. So it wasn't something that had been strung on in his character, like, he's trying to, it's like, no, oh, he has that, and if he gets in a Jaeger, he's gonna die. Guess what? He has to get in a Jaeger.
Right.
Like,
right, you're like, oh. I actually, do you know what's funny? When he first had his nosebleeds, because it's through nosebleeds you find out that he's sick.
Yeah.
I thought he went, the first thing I jumped to was that he had streamlined with a
kaiju?
A kaiju, and because that's what Charlie Day's character does, and he gets a nosebleed.
Yeah,
and so I was like, oh crap, that's why he's saying don't do it. Don't do it, you can't handle it. And I was like getting kind of amped for that. I was like, he's gonna be like, I have this knowledge, you all must trust me. But it didn't.
Ends up being co-opted by the kaiju. Actually,
Yeah.
that would have been sweet.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, whoa.
He's the bad guy.
Gotta kill Marshall and the kaiju. Marshall is a kaiju.
He is kaiju.
Ah, he's sending them to them. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the only emotional thing I thought was earned was Mako's character.
Dude, that was super effective and sad. That little girl was so cute.
Because exactly, very emotionally manipulative. You have a cute little Chinese or Japanese girl crying.
With her shoe off because she can't put her shoe
going
on.
through a city with that it's raining ash and like all the cars are in dead bodies everywhere, and the giant kaiju's coming out of this fucking cloud of just hatred.
In getting at her in this alley.
Yeah, insane.
She was like 4 too. It was just like, oh my god, baby child.
No, but so that worked. Like that was effective, actually, and then it sets up why she cares about Marshall. Like it was a good reveal.
But then it was also why she also was like set on being a good pilot too.
Because she wanted revenge.
For my family.
The revenge thing also a little undercooked. Because they bring it up that one time. Then you get to see the memory of the kaiju destroying everything and her getting saved. And then at the end, she says, for my family, as she fucking cuts in half the bat kaiju, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. But can I say something? What? I did kind of roll my eyes when they're like, there is one more thing. And they pull out the fucking sword.
It's so perfect, though. It's so, like, cliche awesome.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time, I was just kind of like, oh, come on. They've had the sword this whole time, and they're just like, it's the reserve. It's the... It could have saved his brother.
No? How was it saved his brother?
It could have sliced that thing in half.
Maybe that was the arm that got ripped off.
Maybe.
Ooh. Yeah, actually, that was actually a kind of a cool scene in the beginning, too, when his brother dies. Also, that's I think the major failing of this movie is like there's the emotional attachment is not there. This is
for that main guy, yeah.
Well, for almost anybody, all the characters for the most part, like this is just an enjoyable popcorn flick. I'm not sure it had. I don't think
you did enjoy the popcorn.
I don't think it had to be anything else though. Like I'm fine with it being this way. Like this, I don't need.
No,
like,
it was.
I don't need a bullshit romance subplot. Like I don't need to be emotionally manipulated every chance with like a movie that doesn't earn it. So it doesn't really try to. Like it doesn't really even be like you should feel really sad. Like I don't know. I never felt like it was forcing me to feel that way. I don't know.
No, I agree, and I was someone that did not want to see this movie, and I came out kind of enjoyed it. So my mind was kind of changed, I suppose. Because I guess in one or two of the other podcasts I expressed...
I think I brought it up a few times.
Yeah, you bring it up all the time.
Sarah was not interested in this at all, and I was just like, man, like, how can you... I was interested in this because Guillermo del Toro. Like, that's why.
No, I like Guillermo del Toro.
So I was like, dude, the guy just doesn't, like, really... He doesn't really make, like, a quote-unquote bad movie, and I was like... So I really want to see what he can do with this.
With robots fighting monsters.
Your conceit of, like, I don't like mechs is weird. I don't, like, why don't you like mechs, Sarah?
I'm more interested in, like, something like Transformers. Because
No. Don't give me, I don't want to hear you, I don't want you to divert this conversation to why you like the Transformers. Why do you not like mechs?
I don't like the human, like propulsion of a robot. I don't.
Why?
I don't get attached to anything. I'm just like, well, this is kind of silly. I just
They're
don't.
More silly than sentient robots that look like fucking trucks from outer space.
I hate you.
Well, you don't care more about a human being pilot? You care more about a fucking like ultra powerful robot?
Yeah. It's easier for me to kind of like get to the character.
See, I think that's nostalgia talking, and then I think somewhere along the line you were like I don't like it any other way.
Maybe that's just how I am. Maybe I'm just particular.
I don't know.
I don't know, and I never really got into mech stuff growing up. I don't know why. I just couldn't.
I don't think I did either. Other than like I used
to
game, so I played Mech Warrior, like the computer game, which is awesome. But like, and I watched Evangelion. I don't like Evangelion because of mechs. Like, that has nothing to do with why I enjoyed that show.
I don't know.
And that was when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like, I watched, they're doing the Rebuild series, like, where they're remaking the stuff and, like, kind of doing an alternate history with it.
Yeah.
I'm watching those, because I'm a fan of the series, in general. But I don't like that show because of mechs. And then you find out, spoiler alert for Evangelion, they're actually, like, part sentient. Like, that's why I thought Pacific Rim lists so much imagery and a few of the concepts from Evangelion. I thought they were going to do that, too. And I was kind of super stoked because that would have been like a live-action Evangelion movie, which would be awesome.
No, and I kind of thought that too, not because of Evangelion, but if like even on the image that's playing right now over our
to fight monsters, we created
monsters.
We created monsters. Yeah.
I thought there was going to have some sort of like propellant or control from the robots, which is not existent at all.
No, it's not. It's
completely human-driven and human attachment-driven, and by human attachment-driven, I mean people get really invested in their Jaeger.
I kind of wish they had like maybe like sprinkled in there that was what was going on, and that there's like some secret that not everybody knows about them. Like if they had just like hinted towards it, then if they did another Pacific Rim, they could like get more into it. Because I kind of like that this is a very straightforward story. Like I think that's part of what made it as enjoyable as it was. Like it's just refreshingly simple. Like this is. You really can just shut your brain off and watch this movie and never be confused.
Right.
You know?
No.
And, it's not like watching Transformers where you're having to do, like, mental gymnastics and being like, what is going on? Every fucking 20 minutes in those movies, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is dumb. What is going on?
Even with especially with the fights.
State your purpose.
Yeah. No, I was really let down by those movies.
But, I don't know. Other than that, as far as like spoiler stuff, what is something else?
I don't
There's
know.
other things to talk about. I know there is.
You
know what I actually really liked about this movie?
What?
Unless you have something you want to
No.
say.
Go ahead.
That it did not spend a lot of time with like origin stuff. Like it gave us that voiceover montage thing in the beginning. Tells you the history of the kaiju and when they like started appearing and the struggle that's been going on, and then it cuts to 7 years later when there's already pilots. It's already part of like society.
Yeah. And I did kind of like how they're like the pilots and the kaiju and the and the Jaegers have become toys, and I was like, that's awesome because it was like showed you how adapted the society
Hubris.
became.
Oh, so it's like hubris. It's like we're beating them, whatever.
Yeah.
And not like understanding of the real threat, as it were. And then you come to find out in the movie that all those things they were fighting for all those years were just like scouts.
Yeah, that was the crazy part too.
And it also implies that there are even bigger kaiju, like
because like they do it like kind of like hurricanes. You get like a rating level. You know, like this is a category 4.
Yeah.
And like they'd only seen like 4s were like the big shit they thought
4
were
was
coming.
the biggest that had shown up, and then they got a category 5 shows up at the very end.
That wasn't around too long.
No, that's actually, you know what? That's an action scene that kind of gets like, what's going on? Because it's so dark.
And and like I guess there is the one distinguisher, the color of their what do they call it? The blood.
Oh, like the
There was a name for it.
I don't remember the name of it.
I'll think of it. But no, it's like it was green instead of blue.
What, for the category?
Yeah,
5
so
one?
Kaiju Blue is what they called it.
Yeah.
But then like the category 5 one was green.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that, honestly.
Pay
I was just all into the spectacle.
No, yeah, so, like, that was the distinguisher, but, like, I thought that was kind of cool. Like, that's, when Charlie Day's character kind of links up and, like, with the brain, and he learns that, like, they're, kind of what's going on, which I found kind of cool, too, that someone thought to do that.
Yeah.
Like, the scientist, like, he was like, you know what, why don't we, like, just mind meld with these things as well to learn what's going on in their brains?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Also, and that was cool, like, and it was kind of half-baked in the movie. Didn't, like... that like the kaiju also had then, because you find out they're kind of like a hive mind, so what one knows they all know.
Yeah.
Had and Charlie Day's character Mutant had linked up with it, so they knew about him and about their plan actually, which that didn't really pay off though, did it? At all? No,
because like I thought they were hunting him.
No, they were, because they were waiting for them. They were waiting for them at the breach.
Yeah, they were waiting. They knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But, like, I know, I thought it was cool, and, like, that's how you learned about it, so it kind of gave you that history part of it, too. Like, they didn't spend time, like, our research has proven this, this, and this. It was like, no, like...
Well, you find out that there's actually aliens living under there, and the Kaiju are just basically their version of the Jaegers.
Do you know what I was hoping?
What?
Cthulhu would just pop out and be like,
That'd be
"Brah!"
awesome. And I wouldn't put it past Guillermo del Toro to do that either.
Yeah, well, that's one of their, like, it's a Category 5. I was like, he's gonna look like Cthulhu.
It's gonna be Cthulhu! Well, he's got tentacles and shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought about. I was
Yeah.
like, Cthulhu's gonna eat
I
some
bet
shit.
you that was part. It played
Gonna
into
eat
it.
some babies.
Well, because before Pacific Rim got greenlit, originally he was gonna make At the Mountains of Madness.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like he's been trying to get it made for years.
Maybe this is what'll push it.
If it does well, I don't know.
I think it's gonna do well.
I hope it does, because I think it's worthy of doing well. First
And like
of
you
all.
said, I would take easily take an 8-year-old or older to this.
Yeah, because I think it's fun. Like it's.
I even think you could, because there's no swearing or anything. You
No,
could
it's-
even
no,
like
it's
in
a
the
very-
background,
it's
you
a
could
very-
let like a 4-year-old kind of like.
This is
see
a
it.
borderline PG movie.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the modern day, like this is a borderline PG movie.
There's no swearing. There's not even a kiss in the whole movie.
There's no sex at all. At all.
No, there's
No.
just a really nice embrace at the end.
A very nice hug.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some dog kisses, but
some bestialities in this film.
that's why I got
No,
the
but
13.
like it's, and I kind of appreciated that in a weird way.
Yeah, where you weren't being berated with all this like
Like just
swearing and like.
yeah, and it was.
Which is funny because we swear like sailors.
We do, yeah, we do. But like, it's almost it's almost at the point now, like being an adult and stuff, that like I'm at the point now where sometimes I would rather just watch like a clean, simple movie
Oh no.
rather than watch. No, I mean like
I know.
like every once in a while, you know,
No,
like
I know
rather
what you
than
mean.
watch like something where I feel like I'm being like berated with like
torture porn.
or torture porn or just like overly everything's overly sexualized and stuff. Even in action movies and stuff like that, everything's like fetishized.
Yeah.
Like something like Transformers, there's a lot of like fetishization of women and cars and like
Yep.
you
know, Megan Fox's butt for like 5 minutes fixing a car.
exactly.
My
I mean,
favorite.
There's nothing, and those are marketed very clearly as children's movies.
Yep. Yeah, especially because the direct link with Hasbro and the toys.
Well, because that's the whole, and one of the really kind of like ideological problems I have with Transformers, those movies, is that they're like, because they're so pandering, trying to appeal to everybody possible, like they just fucking throw everything in there.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and Pacific Rim, thankfully, doesn't do that at all. Like I think it's kind of made for kids, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the simplicity of it and stuff like that. It's not even as complicated as like Hellboy. Hellboy is more like complex than Pacific Rim is.
Yeah, I think the closest thing you'll get actually to anything being crude is Ron Perlman. Actually,
Ron Perlman, who's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. It's fine.
He's not in the movie enough. I mean, he
probably was a little bit more, and they probably cut some of that.
I'm hoping they do it. He does a director's cut, like with like the extra 20 minutes and stuff. I bet you there's a lot of character stuff that got on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, but I think it was done well enough to where it did fine. I'm glad I got over my stubbornness and saw this with you.
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't know.
Because it's good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there's just like it sets up a more complex world than the story needed to use, I guess.
But then again, that could also be for like a future.
Yeah, I think they do. They have ideas for like this to be a franchise.
And that could go really well or really poorly.
Yeah, because I think if you don't have somebody like Guillermo del Toro that embraces like kind of like his inner child, like it's a kid in a toy box.
Always.
Yeah, playing it in a toy box in his room, like that's kind of
Pan's Labyrinth.
I mean, well, Pan's Labyrinth is very adult.
It was very adult, but I felt like a sense of wonder the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
That's what I
because-
mean. He always
yes.
has a sense of wonder with whatever story he's presenting.
He does. No, he does. He very much does. I think he understands like a child's perspective very well. Even in like movies that are quote unquote adult.
No,
like,
and that's very.
And Pan's Labyrinth is a good example of that because it's told from the perspective of a little girl.
And that's a very tough spot to have as an adult. Like, that's been in the industry for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
In any art form, not just movies, writing, any art, even, painting, whatever.
Yeah.
To have that wonder of a child is, like, the attainment you want to have.
Exactly.
And, like,
yeah.
the ability to, like, translate that to an adult world and a child's world
Everything is
like,
discovery.
fucking great. Right.
Yeah.
So I think good on him for that. That's
Yeah.
what, and visually, his movies are always, like, beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
even the goriest of gory or scariest of scary with him is beautiful in a weird way.
No, he does. He was very, like, fantastical, and I mean in, like, the fantasy sense of it.
And it's pretty fantastic.
And it's pretty fantastic
The modern
as well.
use of fantastic. Just, like, awesome. That's a word that's been...
It's overused, but
No, people don't use it in the right way
in
anymore.
the right context anymore.
No. Like, it's not something that puts you in awe. That's just cool to you.
I think Pacific Rim almost does that.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
I think, like, the action is incredibly effective, and you always understand the scale.
No, because even, like, that hand-to-hand combat scene, that was great. Like, to say, you apologize to her right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Between, the cocky asshole and the main character.
But what I mean is, like, about the kaiju and the Jaeger fights is that you always get a sense of scale of how big they are, which a lot of movies don't. Like, Transformers doesn't, like, just because that's the most other big robot movie.
Right.
Is that, like, you never get a sense of how big they are very often.
Right, no.
Like, and this, they're always juxtaposed with, like, a plane going by or a helicopter, just to remind you these things are huge.
And that's the other thing, too, that kind of, like, not to be, like, a perfectionist about Transformers, the Decepticons are always supposed to be, like, way larger than Autobots.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, their sense of, like, trying to protect things and everything was supposed to be so, like, it's kind of like the David and Goliath kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get that in those movies because, like, Megatron's fucking only, like, 2 inches taller than Optimus.
Yeah,
He's a little bit wider and, like,
they're pretty much the
scrappier.
same size.
They're pretty much the same, and it's, like that kind of takes that away from it. But, like, like you said in Pacific Rim, like, these things always remain so big in comparison to the human aspects of it.
Yeah, very much so.
I like when the Jaeger picks up, like, all those, like the truck ends, like the truck beds and stuff, and just, like, crushes them like they're, like, Kit Kats. He's just like,
Oh, the
"Rah."
containers?
Yeah, the containers, and he's just like, rah!
And he uses them basically like a fucking, like, it's the same concept of putting, like, a roll of quarters in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Smash in his
I
face.
saw that, I was like, wow! That's what I would have done.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, just really enjoyed it a lot. It's not a perfect movie at all.
But it's hard to say a movie's perfect, especially nowadays.
Oh, yeah. What's the closest thing what would you consider to be a perfect movie?
I don't really have a perfect movie. I have a favorite movie, but not a perfect movie.
Well, because this is completely subjective.
Right. I mean, Usual Suspects is my favorite movie, but, like, that's by no means perfect.
I guess
But to me, it gets close to it because of the, like, mindful suspense that you have to, like, put with it. And when you first see that movie, you miss a minute of that movie, the ending is still pretty epic, like, the twist.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if you pay attention to the details, you're just like, oh, fuck! Like, when you actually see that ending. And I guess that's why I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
That's something that makes you think kind of intensely, but at the same time, you can still, like, passively watch if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's how that movie is, but it makes you, like, psychologically think. Like, if you pay attention to things, the gravity of the twist is, like, oh!
Well, I think, like, with that movie is, like, you don't realize that movie's a clue hunt until you've seen it once.
And then you watch it again.
Yeah, because that first time you see it, like,
or you
it's
watch it,
fucking
like,
awesome.
75 times.
Yeah. I've seen that movie quite a bit myself,
No,
too.
I know.
That's what made me, like, gave me, like, hope for Bryan Singer, and he just lets me down left and right all the time.
Yeah,
now.
me too.
He had a pretty strong, like, beginning of his career. You know what I mean? Because he had, like, Usual Suspect, Apt Pupil's actually pretty good. I never
saw that one.
About the Nazi.
No.
Oh, that's pretty good. With
I'll have to watch
Ian
it.
McKellen. Yeah, Ian McKellen they've been friends for a long time.
Friends.
Gay buddies. Yeah, and then X-Men was okay. X-Men 2 was pretty good. Superman Returns was boring.
I don't know, but whatever it is, I mean, to me, that's, I guess, like, I don't want to say perfect, but to me, that's, like, the kind of balance I like in a movie.
Yeah.
Something that you can, like, it's rewatchable, and I would rewatch Pacific Rim.
I would totally rewatch.
I don't mean rewatchable.
I'll buy it when it comes out.
Yeah, I don't mean, like, rewatchable just because, like, oh, we'll just put it on, like, I don't, like, not because it's going to be background, but I would rewatch it because I could probably figure out something else I didn't see before.
That's true.
There's probably, like, little subtleties, and I like a movie that can present subtleties to where it's not, like, tedious.
Yeah, I get you. I don't know what I would consider. I think, like, I'd be break it into categories. It would have to be, like, for genre, based on genre or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Because, like, I could say, like, There Will Be Blood is the closest I've, like, to a perfect movie.
I agree.
But it's an unconventional movie. Like, it's not... Like, it kind of defies, like, structure and a lot of stuff. Like,
but if you think about the context of what it's coming from, a writer that defied a lot of structure for his time, like, it's based on Upton Sinclair writing, which is someone that defied a lot of the structure and, like, process to writing, especially novels and stories of that time.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the journalistic kind of, like, expose, like, trying to expose things and, like, put it out there. Like, if you kind of juxtapose it with that and, like, Paul Thomas Anderson's, like, direction-wise, I think it works perfectly.
Well, see, I would agree with you. Like, that was his intent.
Yeah.
If The Master hadn't been so tonally similar.
Okay.
There's a lot of there is a through line of craft, like, this is how I want to make movies now. Like, with There Will Be Blood to The Master.
Fucking fantastic.
Oh, I know that. No, I'm not saying there's not. But I don't think that was, like, his intention with There Will Be Blood was, like, I'm servicing the way Upton Sinclair wrote Oil. Like,
He's being a muckraker.
I think it was like, how do I... Because it's a character study, and, like, how do we, like, get inside this man's mind? So, like, that's kind of the way... There's a lot of those long takes and that, like, that fantastic music, the string sections and shit. Yeah, that's awesome. Gives you
I
chills.
remember when I saw There Will Be Blood in theaters, I, like...
Yeah, no,
the whole time my, like, eyes were super wide.
I was, like,
leaning.
I was fucking, like, up on the edge of my seat, like
I
oh
saw
my God.
that. That's another one I saw a couple times in theater.
Yeah,
For me to
too.
see something a couple times in a theater, that and A Serious Man, actually, I saw.
You said that you saw it, like, 3 times.
Yeah.
This is such a weird movie to see 3 times in the theater. I like A Serious Man. I think it's a great movie, but...
I just love the Coen brothers.
Oh, me too. I love the Coen brothers, too. But...
No, but I saw A Serious Man. The first 2 times was because I saw it with 2 different groups of people.
Yeah.
And then the third time was like, I liked it so much, and I felt it was one of those movies I could pick up on subtleties again that maybe I had not seen before.
And I think you can.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if you go
rewards.
with that mind frame where it's like, I'm gonna just try and be like
Clue Hunt?
Clue Hunt, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's what like pushes me with movies is like something that will draw me back for that reason.
Yeah.
Not saying Pacific Rim will do that, but I would rewatch it because there probably are a little bit of subtleties that like.
I think there's things you can miss, yeah.
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 Because you're like, that robot is beating the crap out of that monster with a boat.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh wait.
Although, you know, like, just in comparison to another summer blockbuster that came out this year, and you briefly mentioned this when we were walking to the store after the movie, the level of mass destruction, right?
Yeah.
This is a spoiler for Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Man of Steel, I'm sorry, you should stop listening.
Right now.
At the end of Man of Steel, a lot of people, you could be assumed, die in Metropolis, right? Mm-hmm. Because they don't even bother showing you, like, what are the civilians doing.
Well, except for when they're fighting in the museum, and they're all just cowering around rubble.
So what were they doing? So then there must have been other people in those other buildings that they fucking level, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big, just so antithetical to, like, who Superman is as supposed to be as a character. What he's supposed to represent, whatever.
Right.
Anyways, but Pacific Rim, even though it's not like a movie based on a character that is all about saving just saving human beings, that's like his ethos.
Right.
Like, it still took the time to show you what people did when Kaiju showed up. They didn't always survive, but it took you the time to, like, they got to shelters and...
Yeah, they had set up shelter points or whatever, and then I kind of like what Charlie Day's character says when he's like, it's a buffet.
Yeah.
It's a buffet.
Yeah, so, like, it did pay attention to that more than, like... See, I mean, even though that's apples and oranges, but the reason I brought it up is because I don't think this movie had to do that, but it still did. It still actually recognized, like, oh, there's human beings, like, in these cities and stuff like that.
And that's kind of why the girl's, like, story propels you more, too, because it's like you see what it did to her. Mm-hmm. Because she's, like, a lost little kid that, like, somehow made it out, you know, thank the heavens, but, like, at the same time, and then it shows where it took her as a person. You know what I mean? And there is still those human qualities to the pilots that, like, want to save a boat when they're told by their commander to directly fuck that boat. It's got 10 people on it.
Yeah.
Or want to save 2 million. So, like, what is the 10 compared to the 2 million? And they're like, fuck that. If we can save all 2 million and 10.
Yeah, if we can do it, we should do it.
Yeah, and so I think that was an interesting thing that they like brought up a couple times in that movie.
They did. Yeah, it's actually pretty consistent with that. With like,
so I
with the
appreciate
idea
that
of
for a
casualties.
big like wreck 'em up movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Overall, good job, Mr. Del Toro.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't think I would go see this again in the theater.
No.
No, but I'll definitely buy it when it comes out. I would buy this movie. And I bet it's going to have a kick-ass making of, too.
Yeah.
Like one of those, like, 2-hour documentaries that I, like, will watch. I'm serious. I think I've seen another Guillermo del Toro movie. I have seen the making of Hellboy more times than I've seen Hellboy. And I love Hellboy. I love that movie.
You love Hellboy in general.
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of the even though the movies are nothing very
Right.
little to do with, except for the characters. The characters are the same, but like the context, everything's different.
Well, right, no, but I'm just saying in general you love Hellboy, and
Yeah, I like. I saw those movies before I read any of the comics.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw Hellboy. Like I was supposed to. I grew up Catholic, and I was supposed to be going to Easter Mass, and I went to see Hellboy instead. Like, and I didn't really know what it was. I was just like, oh, I like Ron Perlman. Because I've been a movie nerd for a very long time. So, like, when I was, like, 16, I was already a Ron Perlman fan and watched, like, In the Name of the Rose and, like, all these, like, Ron Perlman movies, like, and Kronos. And, like, so, like, I didn't know anything about Hellboy other than that. Like, I didn't really know who Guillermo del Toro was.
I didn't know that.
I knew he directed Blade 2. Like, that's really all. And I think I had maybe seen one of his Spanish movies. But, like, I didn't really know much about him. And I thought Blade 2 was sweet.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen Blade 2, Sarah?
No.
There you go. No,
I wasn't ever really into Blade.
Blade 2 is just a fun comic book movie. It's like a fun, like, zombie or vampire, like...
I was never into really vampires.
Shooting
That's why I
movie.
never got into Blade.
I think you'd enjoy Blade 2, honestly.
Well, then we'll watch it.
We should watch it. I
Why
have
does
it.
our list keep growing?
But, anyways, so yeah, I kind of saw Hellboy in a whim. Really got me into Guillermo del Toro, and I started me on, like, a big love affair with, like, just Hellboy in general. And actually, that's another movie that's, like, very, like, whimsical and fantastical, but, like, just well made and just good. Like...
No. Mr. Del Toro. Quality.
Yeah, he just knows... He knows how to capture, like, the heart of a child. Like, that's what when I watched, like, something like Pacific Rim, it reminded me of what it was like to be 11 years old watching Independence Day at the drive-ins. Like, that's
Didn't
what it
I
was.
even during the movie said something about Independence
Yeah, you
Day?
made that because, like, the end speech, which was not as epic as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like the head guy.
Canceling the apocalypse.
Yeah,
The
we're
one from the
canceling
trailer.
yeah.
That's pretty much what you see in the trailer is pretty much the speech. Like,
Right, and so I just made a joke like, he was like, this is, and I was like, our Independence Day.
This is the day of our independence. I used to live at my old roommate when I was like 18, and he knew the entire speech, Bill Pullman's speech, and anytime he had the opportunity, he would just get up and do it, and it was pretty funny.
That is pretty good.
We also used to we used to go to the movies a lot together, and we saw the Brokeback Mountain trailer quite a bit, and we learned the trailer like word for word, and we would just act it out.
Oh, act it out, huh?
Yeah. Randomly at parties, just like do the entire trailer in front of people. It was pretty funny. Also, used to do some scenes from Good Will Hunting together.
I still have not seen Good Will Hunting.
Because my name is Shaun, and the main characters, or not the main character, Robin Williams' character is Shaun in Good Will Hunting, so I used to do that.
I still haven't seen Good Will
You've
Hunting.
never seen Good Will Hunting either? God
No.
damn it, Sarah.
No.
A life not well lived.
No, no. I had to watch a lot of trauma videos growing up.
I watch those too, Sarah.
Yeah,
I make time for like classy Gus Van Sant films as well.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I bet you saw Last Days.
Nope.
You didn't see that? Good. You don't see that. Fucking the Kurt Cobain.
Oh, wait.
Oh my god, you did see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the very ponderous, like, fucking 10-minute takes. That's another that's what Gus Van Sant started doing. Like, after a while, he's just like, I'm just gonna make movies that are just fucking completely boring.
That's funny.
10-minute takes, no cuts, no angles, no anything, just, yeah. But anyways, go see Pacific Rim.
Do it. Do it.
It's worth your money.
It's worth the extra money, too.
It's worth the money, extra money to go see in 3D, yeah. I'd recommend that.
No, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad my mind was changed about that movie. Because I like robots.
Like, I enjoyed that movie.
I like robots, I don't like men.
I was a little underwhelmed. I wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, or hoping it would be. But, like, I still think it was fucking solid, though.
And I think it's good that, yeah, like you were kind of saying earlier, like, it's just a kind of clean, fun movie.
Yeah.
Kind of, like, hang out to.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
And I like when a solid movie comes out that actually is made for a whole family and it doesn't, like, bow to, like...
It could be awesome. Like, it could be like this. Like...
Right, it doesn't have to be, like, really kind of, like, subtly crude humor put into, like, a Pixar movie. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Which Pixar's fine, but...
Pixar's fine, but they still have to stoop to that.
Right, because
they're like, we need to entertain the parents, which I think is just this bullshit fucking philosophy. It's
no,
like,
because people
no,
like
it's because
to see...
you're a fucking adult and, like, you just want to make an adult movie, but you haven't made it that point in your career yet. Like... Oh,
jeez. Oh, my.
No, if you're gonna make a fucking kids movie, make a kids movie. Like, you can still be smart and clever and witty, and if you're good enough, an adult will enjoy it.
Right.
With or without that shit. Like
Horton Hears a Who.
Like, the only movie that, like, justifies some of that, as far as Pixar goes, is probably The Incredibles. Because I don't think The Incredibles is really that... a kids movie.
No,
like,
it's
the
not.
themes and stuff of that movie are too deep for, like, kids to fucking, like, grasp.
But they're like, oh, superheroes. Ah.
Yeah, that's, like, they go see that for spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know why I was talking about that.
No, it's fine.
No, but, like, I wish, like, I could have seen this when I was, like, 11. Or I wish I had, like, a kid to take to it. Like, because I would like to
whoa.
see the look. I would just like to, like, be able to, like, see the look on a kid's face when they watch this movie.
Yeah, that's why, like, I kind of bummed I don't live near my stepbrother. Because, like I said earlier, he's a freshman in high school.
He would fucking love that movie.
No, I know, and that'd be awesome because, like, I took him to, I guess the closest I got to this was I took him to The Hobbit. He knew nothing of Lord of the Rings. He knew nothing of the books. That killed me. I was like, I have failed you as a, like, well, he's my stepbrother, so.
So fuck him. No,
yeah, no, not so fucking.
No, but you met him a lot later in life. Yeah.
I was, like, off in college doing my thing almost.
Yeah, when he was, like, 10 or 12.
Yeah, he was in middle school. But, like, I took him to The Hobbit, and his mouth was, like, open the whole time, and he was, like, kind of, like, asking questions.
Oh, then he would love this.
No, and I usually don't like talking a lot during movies. Like, I'll make comments here and there, like a normal person. But I didn't care that he was asking me questions because he was, like, so wide-eyed, and I was like,
and then you gave him the Lord of the Rings.
And then I gave him all the Lord of the Rings.
Did he watch them?
I haven't asked him yet.
I bet he... I hope he did.
I don't know. I hope he did, too, because I gave him all the fucking director's cuts.
I think he'd like them.
No, yeah, and he's, like, really excited for the second half, so maybe I can see it. It's going to be around a time where I can maybe go up home and see him. But it's really exciting to see a kid be, like... And I think, like, even that age group this would hit very well with.
Yeah, like...
No, because it's, like, it's big, crazy, smash 'em up, but then there's, like, that human, like, thing to it. And like you said, like, he's into anime. Like, a lot of his friends are into anime.
Yeah,
so it's got those aspects to it.
Yeah, it does.
And it's
fuck,
not...
half the movie takes place in Tokyo, like...
Kawaii!
Yeah. Moshi moshi.
Moshi moshi. Arigato. Yeah, no, but, I don't know. I think, like, it'd be a good, like, maybe I'll text him and tell him to, like, maybe he should gather up some buddies and go see it.
Yeah, go see Pacific Rim. Yeah, I think they'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, because then another thing I did appreciate this movie is that, like, I think, like, it would be, like, it's not specifically made for boys. It's not specifically made for girls. I didn't feel like this was, like, a boys' club movie.
No, not at all, because
one of your central protagonists is a girl.
Who's badass.
Who ends up being kind of badass, yeah. And still maintains her femininity.
Yeah, but
did not have to
it's
be
not
a
obvious.
butch bitch to, like,
Whoa.
hang with the boys. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, it's not obvious, like,
No.
that she's, like, pandering to one side or the other. She's just a person that has really cool blue
Yeah,
streaks.
and that's how
that has
she's...
really cool blue streaks in her hair.
Yeah, that's true. That's the anime right there. Appeal to the anime crowd. But, like, but that was, yeah, exactly. Like, even, like, the main protagonist, I think if this was more of, like, a conventional, like, modern movie, modern blockbuster, of course they would have had to have a love story.
Right,
This movie doesn't do that. He's just like, no, you're the best person for the job. Like, that's why...
Right, and there's just, like, a sense of care
And yeah,
like all
actually,
around
I'll say that, yeah.
from every character, I think to some point expresses just a sense of care about something. And I think that's what's really good about it, because it's not like sexually charged. It's just
not.
like it's care.
It's humans caring about other humans.
That's
in
why
a desperate situation.
That's why they just like hug at the end, because they're just like, huh.
That, and they're connected now because of the
brains.
The brain stuff.
No, but I mean, you know what I'm saying though. It's like a sense of care. It's not like we're gonna bang now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Which
finally, we defeated the monsters. Now we gotta get these suits off and fuck in this boat. It's a life raft.
No, because the helicopter's
it turns
already
into
there.
a James Bond movie at the end.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
and he's
Yeah, when he just like lets go of the lead line.
yeah. How irresponsible, James Bond. Dr. No, whatever.
He doesn't care.
He's like, Dr. Yes.
No means yes. Yes means anal.
According to James Bond, yes. That is probably something James Bond would think.
No means yes, and yes means anal. Let's play Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming. Well, anyways, I think that's probably going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it for quite a bit.
I know, it was fun.
It's always fun.
Sometimes.
It's not always fun going to the movies, though, so I'm happy Pacific Rim was fun.
Yes, it was much better than Superman.
It was much better than Superman. Superman is so fucking terrible.
Sorry I got you started. I'm sorry, guys.
Superman is...
No, God. Chloroform.
I love the people that come out and be like, oh, he's just not your Superman. Fuck you. You don't know anything about Superman, then, if you say that. God, fuck you. Anyways, thanks for listening.
Yep, thanks much.
And watching. I think I'm going to put this on YouTube as well.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. I'm Shaun.
I'm Sarah.
And thanks for listening, everybody. This was My Future Has Been Face Fucked, Episode 5.
Cinco.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.